Hello, I'm Brett with WIPDeveloper.com. Last time, we passed data from a parent component to a child component by assigning it to an attribute. Now I'd like to pass data from a child component to a parent component. But since we can't assign to an attribute on the parent component, we have to use an event. We are going to generate an event in the child component. And then the parent component, we will handle it similar to the way we would handle a button click event or any other event that's generated by the DOM. So from the parent's point of view, it's going to look similar for how it's handled. But the child is going to be creating a new event, and the parent will receive it, and we'll be able to use that data in the parent component. I'm going to just start by adding a place to put the information we get from the child component in the parent component. So just going to add another lightning card, and I'm going to save it in a property on the parent called child data and display it in this lightning card. Of course, to do that, we will have to add a property, and we will need to track it so that we can see that it updates. So import the track attribute, or track decorator, so we can decorate the child component. So that's a portion of what we need to handle from the parent. In the child markup, we're going to add a button. So before we do that, let's make it so that they don't loop together. I'm going to put the previous content in a paragraph tag and then just put a button underneath. And I'm going to have it cause a child event. And I'll bind to an event in the JavaScript called cause child event. This is going to be the entire content of our child's markup. So in our class for that, we need to create the cause child event handler. So here we have a method called cause child event, and this is going to it's going to dispatch a new event. Dispatch event is tied into the lightning element, so we can call it directly from this dispatch event. And what it's looking for is a custom event, so we're going to create a new custom event. And we have to give it a name. So this custom event is going to be the name that we're looking for on the parent event, or on the in the parent on the element. So we're going to give it a name, child event, all lowercase. Make that a little bigger so it's easier to see. So it does look a little odd not doing camel case, but we're going to make a new custom event called we're going to dispatch a new custom event called child event. Now, if we look in our page, we can see our button and we can click it, but nothing happens. That's because we aren't handling it. Let's add a handler on our first one, and we are going to use the on. We're going to preface the event we're looking for with on, and then remember it's all lowercase, so on child event. And then we're going to have a handler do something with it. We're going to have a handle child event, and then in our JavaScript we will have to create the handler. Right now I'm going to just put child data equals, because we aren't actually passing any data right now. So this is just to prove that we are getting the event. Refresh the page. Now I'm going to click this first cause child event, and we'll get... Okay. We got the event, and we can see the timestamp, but let's make it so that it lines up by giving it some padding. Nope, don't need that extra slash. Let's refresh the page. There, now it has some padding. But all we're doing is verifying that this was, because this timestamp is being created in the parent. So we know the event was received. We're just not passing any data right now. And to pass data, we would pass in a second property for our custom event from the child. And it's going to be an object with a detail property. And we're just going to pass it a string. I'm going to have the string say from child. And then I'll have it pass the time. I'm going to do it to local string though. So now when once this deploys and we refresh the page, we'll get an error. And that error says, nope, doesn't look like we got an error now. So now when we click the event, it'll send this detail to, there we go. This detail will be available in the handler, but to access it, we have to have it accept an event. And we can do event, detail, and assign the value that we're passing. And now we see that our from child is passing a really weird to-local string. Not the best. We'll just get rid of that for now. We can see that our child is sending the event, and we are now displaying the information from it in the parent. But if we click the other child, nothing happens because we aren't listening for the event on the parent. We've only added the handle child event on the first one. But if we add it to the second one, and try it again, we can see that we can receive events from both children. And that is how we can pass data from a child component to a parent component. That's all for now. Remember to sign up for the weekly stand-up, and you can update it with any new information we have on WIPdeveloper.com.